to this video and my channel. My name is Heather. I am the owner and creator here at Wicked Whiskey Designs. And today, what is this madness? This is a, what is this? Halloween, peekaboo, double offset, leopard print, kitchen sink. It's everything. This is a really fun cup to do. It's super easy. It kind of looks a little complicated because the numbers are, or excuse me, the leopard spots are offset, but I promise this is really easy and you're gonna have a lot of fun making it. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. This is still a relatively new channel. I have been on a little bit of a hiatus the last couple months, so I'm super excited to be back with you guys. And definitely like or subscribe because sometimes my schedule gets a little wonky and you're gonna wanna know when that new content drops. Also, all of the supplies that I use to make this absolutely bomb diggity of a tumbler are listed down below. So if you are looking for these exact colors, exact pattern, exact cup, everything, check down below and I have links for everything. And there might even be a coupon code or two down there for you as well to help you save a little bit of money. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to check out the tips and tricks section at the end of the video. That's where I share with you all of my tips and tricks that I learned along the way so that you can make an absolute bomb diggity of a cup like this with as little issue and as little drama as possible. It's where I share with you all the things I've learned along the way so that you don't run into any kind of pitfalls, mistakes, and if you do, how to fix them, how to get out of that so that you are not wasting your time having to redo a cup like this. So that pretty much wraps up everything involving this intro. I'm going to go ahead and get started, show you everything you need to make this cup. You see this? Love this. Let's go have some fun. Coffee. Yes. Let's put that down. What's up? Oh my God, I've been gone for so long. I've missed you. I'm caffeinated. It's early. Sunday morning. I'm ready. Okay. What are we doing today? What we're doing today is something I said I am never going to do one of those cups. I'm just not. I don't like them. I don't think they look comfortable. Who needs to have one of those? I'm never going to do one. Never say never. What we're doing today, Stanley style. A full disclosure, I bought the wrong ones. All right, so the ones I normally buy have the handle already attached to the cup. Like the handle doesn't come off. And apparently this was done, I ordered these early morning, no coffee, running on my way to work. I got the ones where the handle comes off. So we're gonna go ahead and address this. They're really easy. It's literally a separate little handle piece. You pop it, you slide it on, you know, you add the little screws and you're good to go. Some people like doing these and having their handles off and they, you know, glitter all of this and then they go ahead and leave the handle off and then they can go ahead and you know, have that as a solid color. If the handle is, I don't want to say insulated, so it's all squishy and comfortable, that way that's not getting compromised. And it's all personal preference, to be honest with you. I think we all know I'm not going to have that kind of patience to begin with. Number two, this is just asking for me to completely, you know, mess this part up as far as epoxying around these little nubbies and then making sure my handle fits afterwards. I joke. I mean, obviously we can do that, but it's just not the look I normally go for on my tumblers. I started doing these salty style, okay? I like the way it looks when you have the color gradient, if that's what you're doing, going all the way down the cup. This is a cup where the handle does not come off and it just, you know, it just works for me and my timeline and who I am. But if you prefer the kind where, you know, the handle comes off, beautiful, run with it. What we're going to do is this. As I said, I was never going to do a Stanley style. Who needs this? This is ridiculous. They're so comfortable. I'll be honest. Like I did one for a customer and then she like changed her mind and I was on the color scheme, so I had it and I was like, all right, well, I'll just keep it for myself. It's so comfortable in your hand. It really is. So even though it's, you know, a lot of these like real, especially the real Stanleys are like $1 billion and Lord knows we're not trusting me with anything that expensive. If you've never done one before, maybe consider doing one. I was pleasantly wrong in my original educated and extremely biased assessment. So that being said, what are we doing today with this one? Okay, so as you can see, I have the handle on, but not on. It's really easy. Like, you literally slide the handle over the nubbies, and then you got two little screw holes here, top and bottom. They comes with little screws. You screw them in, it's on. It's not a big deal. What we're gonna do is this. My plan for coming back to the channel was to be back in a couple of weeks, specifically about 3 weeks. And then I had a customer order this. She wanted a Stanley. She wanted Halloween. She wanted an offset leopard, but she wanted it done in Halloween colors. And so we got peekaboo, we've got offset leopard, we've got Halloween, we've got a handled 40-ounce cup. I mean, how could I not do a tutorial on this? So here we are. Where are we going to start? The first thing is this. These come painted white. We're obviously not going to keep that white. I am going to screw my handle on, okay? Like I said, it comes with two little screws. I'm going to pop the little screws in because I prefer to have the handle attached to the cup. If that's not your jam, leave it off, tape the little nubbies, and be careful, okay, with your epoxying and your glittering and whatnot. But for myself and my cup, I'm going to go ahead and attach the handle before we epoxy it, before we glitter. I'm going to take off the lid. Okay. And what we're going to do is this. We are going to get our painter's tape, and we are going to tape this silver rim. We want that silver rim to stay silver throughout the entire process. It's just kind of like one of the earmarks of this style of cup. So I don't want to cover that up. So I'm going to tape that silver band so that no glitter, no spray adhesive, no epoxy gets on that, okay? And then once I tape that, I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm very lightly going to sand this entire cup. You know, it's one of those things that I think sometimes there's always been, do we sand, do we not sand? In this particular instance, I'm going to sand it. So we're going to do a light sand, and then we're going to hit this with spray paint. She wants, what does she want? Halloween orange, purple, neon green, black, gold. So we are going to, because this cup is white, we're not going to start with a white base. We're going to start with a painted base like we normally do. We are going to go ahead, and I've got spray paint in these colors. We're going to go ahead, spray paint, you know, the sections that we normally would when we were doing the rainbow one. And if you're not familiar, there's a tutorial on how to do a rainbow offset leopard. I'll link that down below. And as in that tutorial, we are going to start with spray paint. So we are going to spray paint our colors as an ombre, you know, kind of going on an angle here. And then we are going to glitter following those colors. Because this is going to be a leopard offset, we have to be very careful with our layers. We do not want big, thick, heavy layers. We're not trying to have like a perfectly smooth epoxy, you know, coat before we start adding the leopard print. Like, we want to minimize the epoxy layers, because keep in mind, you're doing a Stanley, you're doing a handle. These are not as problematic as I thought they would be, but they still can be problematic, even though we're using fine glitter. You know, I find that these cups need at least one extra run of epoxy opposed to a normal, you know, 20 skinny or whatever. So just be light with your epoxy, you know, so that we're building up those layers, but you're not going to end up with a 700-pound cup. So that's where we are at. We're going to tape this, we're going to sand it, we're going to spray paint it, and then we're going to start glittering, and we're going to go have some fun. And I'm really glad to be back. So as you can see, the garage is still as messy as it always is. Hopefully we're going to change that soon, but I'm just happy to be back. Okay, so I have my handle screwed on. You can see, screw, okay? Really easy. Just grab a little screwdriver and pop those right in. I have my painter's tape, okay? And like I said, I am going to go ahead and tape this rim. Why am I taping it now when we're going to sand the cup? I don't want to sand this area, okay, this silver area. I don't want there to be like, you know, sand streaks, you know, sanding streaks and whatever. I want this to stay as clean as possible, knowing that we are going to do black glitter, green glitter, like, you know, we're gonna hope and pray that that can stay completely clean throughout the entire process. Am I gonna get upset if a tiny micro little a bit of glitter gets on it? I'm not. I'm really not. But we're gonna try to protect it as much as possible. So I'm gonna flip around so hopefully you can see where are we at, right there. And then we are just gonna go ahead and run that tape. Make sure you are not covering up the white, because if you're covering anything white, when you pull that tape up, you're going to still see the white that's underneath. So you want to make sure you are running that tape strictly on the stainless part. Okay? Now, we're going to do a light sand on this. Okay, a little sanding block. I think this is a 60 grit. That's normally the one I use. You can get them on Amazon. I think I got like, I don't know, 8 or 10 of these for like $9, if that. So we're just going to do a very, very light sand. Go up to that edge. This does not need to be precise by any means. This is literally just to put a very loose sand on this, just because there's lots of different little textures going on here. And since this is coming coated, I'm going to assume this is a sublimation one I ordered. Some people say you can't use sublimation tumblers for, you know, glitter tumbling. Glitter tumbling, is that a thing? Yeah. I've used them in the past in emergency situations, you know, where a customer puts in, you know, a 6-cup order and she ordered curves, and then she's like, you know, 2 days before they're due. By the way, you know I wanted skinnies, right? No, I did not. And of course, most tumbler supply companies that you order from are not able to get that to you in, you know, the next day. In which case now you're going on Amazon and finding something, and sometimes you can find it where it has a next day delivery, and sometimes you can't. So sometimes you just got to roll with what you're rolling with. So I've used sublimation tumblers before. I sand them. I'm not trying to take any power, like I've done power coating ones too. Sand them, you're fine. You're putting multiple runs of epoxy that you can get to the stainless edge to where your epoxy is something to hold on to a little bit more. There's definitely ways to use those, so don't think that you can't. Now, is it something I would recommend using like every day, all day? Nah, maybe not, but it can be done. And in this case, like I said, we've gone ahead, we've got a real easy sand on this. We're going to go ahead and brush it off. I'm not worried about alcohol. I say that for this reason. There are people who swear, live and die by, you need to alcohol off all of the dust. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong. Am I going to do it? No. The reason being is, number one, we're doing spray adhesive and glitter. If I was doing something like alcohol ink or something, then you would be able to see, you know, the sand dust. Maybe that'd be something more to discuss. But I will say the reason why I don't do it is this. When I started doing cups down, you know, in the journey of this, and especially when we first started getting really, really busy, I was having allergic reactions. I was having allergic reactions on my hands, on my wrists, going up my arms. And all you ever hear in this community is, oh, it's epoxy. You're allergic to the epoxy. I don't want to be allergic to epoxy. I'm not clean. I'm sloppy. I get epoxy everywhere. I can't be allergic. I'll kill myself, literally. But I tried. I, you know, double gloved. I even got the gloves that go up to your elbows, okay? I was the cleanest, most pristine, absolutely, you know, careful little epoxy slinger you ever did meet. And I was still breaking out. And I was like, what the F is happening here? You know what? Not allergic to epoxy, allergic to copious amounts of rubbing alcohol. And why are we have rubbing alcohol on me? Because also, back in the day, and this is probably still true, if you get epoxy on you, oh, take it, you know, you use acetone, get the epoxy off right away. Oh, but acetone's so dangerous. You know what I mean? Hazardous. It's horrible. You know what I mean? It's going to eat through your skin. You can't use acetone as much as I get epoxy on me. So what else takes it off? Rubbing alcohol. Okay, so let's go to rubbing alcohol. I think the lady across the street moved in. I think I have a new neighbor. She's going to be awfully surprised come Halloween time. Sorry, I digress. So instead of using acetone to take all this epoxy that I always had on me, off of me, I would use rubbing alcohol. Come to find out, my body said, no, this is not the kind of alcohol we're used to, and that we don't like this kind of alcohol. And it was giving me rashes, and I was having allergic reactions to that rubbing alcohol. So now I kind of stay away from it, honestly. In minute doses, it's not going to do anything to me. I know that. Like, I know that. But just as a general rule, I kind of stay away from it. So, am I going to wipe this down? No, I'm really not. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with spray paint. We're going to go ahead and hit it with spray adhesive. We're going to glitter our first coat. We're going to run a coat of epoxy. We are not going to care if that epoxy is fully, you know, smooth. And then we're going to move on to the leopard spots. And I think I have a trick for leopard spots, being able to identify them pretty easily, because under dark paint, they're going to be kind of hard to see in a peekaboo fashion. So lots of things. Anyway, let's go spray paint. Let's go get started on all this. Okay, so we have orange, neon green, purple, gold. I don't think I have enough black spray paint. I am not prepared. Like I said, I wasn't planning on coming back to do tutorials for a couple weeks, but here we are. So what am I going to do? I have a really pretty Aubergine, which is like almost like a dark figgy spray paint, and I have espresso, which is a dark brown. Black's going over it. Doesn't matter. Really not so much. Sorry, you're crooked. Hold on. There we go. Would I prefer to be black? Yes. So I'm going to try to like squeeze every little drop of black out of my spray paint, and that's where we're at. So what I'm going to do is just do very light misting. I'm not going to be close to my cup. I'm going to be higher up so that the spray paint can kind of disperse a little bit lighter, and it's going to go ahead and that way it'll ombre real nice. So that's what we're going to go do. Let's go do that. To spray paint this, go ahead and take your time. You're going to use short, even bursts and work your way as you spin your cup. Make your swirl as aggressive or as calm as you want it to be. And then once you lay down your first color, follow suit with the other colors so that you have the perfect swirl. Okay, left the gold out. I thought I was going to add gold on here, but I decided not to. What we are going to do is, do I need gold on here? No. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. The paint job is not perfect. It doesn't need to be. It's simply a base, okay? What we have to keep in mind, though, is that for that first layer of glitter, we are not going over it multiple times. The more glitter you put, the more layers of spray adhesive, the more layers of epoxy you're putting, the bigger and more chunky this cup is going to be. And that's not what we're trying to accomplish, because it's already a big chunky cup to begin with. And doing an offset leopard, it's not like, oh, I've got, 2 passes of glitter and now I'm done. No, now you're doing, you're doing glitter, you're doing epoxy, you're doing a peekaboo, you're doing, more glitter, more epoxy. Now you've got to make sure that, that layer of epoxy is fully smooth. You're working with a handle cup that usually seems to need an extra run of epoxy as well. See what I'm saying? So we're going to be using micro thin layers of glitter, micro thin layers of epoxy, so that when this is all said and done, it's not 600 pounds. So we are going to let the paint dry. It is 8,000 degrees still in Florida as I'm sweating, okay? And before anyone tells me, hey, by the way, you put the handle on upside down. I know. I told you I don't do handles like this. But the thing is, it's all going to get covered anyway. So it really doesn't matter if it's upside down, because the little thumb thing isn't relevant to the scenario in this case. But I know, right? It's my first day back. Look how awesome we're doing. So just wanted to say one quick little thing about the upside down handle. I know obviously we're doing a Halloween tumbler. We're using blacks and dark purples and things like that. It's not going to be seen. The only issue with it being upside down is that little thumb comfort, grip thing going on there. That's all going to get covered in glitter and epoxy anyway. You're not going to see that. So I don't care that it's upside down. It doesn't change anything. If I was doing, say, a bride's tumbler or like a lighter beach tumbler, I would have stopped, flipped it right and moved on, simply because there's more of a chance of it being seen under the glitter and under the paint, under the epoxy. But with dark colors, we know nobody's going to see that, so I'm going to leave it as it is. So first, I've got like what I call dirty black. It's black fine glitter from Recollections with a little bit of holographic silver sparkle in it so it doesn't disappear under the epoxy. I've got the Swamp by Peachy. It's a really pretty harvest orange. I've got Double Dare, also from Peachy, a fine neon green, and Belieber, also from Peachy. Look at that purple. Yay! All right, so those are the colors we're working with. I'm going to go ahead and hit my cup with spray adhesive, and we're going to get started. Now, like I did the spray painting with the spray adhesive, you want to make sure you're getting under your handle, all of the little nooks and crannies, your little screw holes, the finger grip, everything. So make sure you are putting you're covering everything, because you're doing only one pass of glitter. So make sure you have spray adhesive on everything. You will also notice that I kept the tape on there. So that tape is going to stay until after we add the first layer of epoxy, and then we'll remove it at that time. So let's go ahead and start. Am I in frame? I think so. I'm glittering up high. I'm glittering for as much full coverage as I can on one pass, okay? And like I said, I'm going high so that glitter spreads everywhere, because you only have that one shot to do the ombre. Keep in mind though, you're going to have leopard print and another layer of paint and glitter on top, so this does not need to be perfect. Don't be like, oh no, my orange is a little too blah, blah, blah. You're going to have all these layers on top. So anything that's imperfect about this layer is not really going to get seen or noticed. Keep that in mind, so don't stress. And you'll see I'm going right over. Now stop here. Shake off your excess. We're obviously going over the handle and around it. So you're going to go very carefully. Go on the bottom there, shake off excess. Again, you're kind of going inside that handle a little bit. You're going to come and bring it up so it's even. You're going to glitter that whole little accidental upside down part. Shake off your excess. Come back over, get this side. Okay. Now, the inside bottom to me is the trickiest part. So I'm going to have a spot here where there's not very much glitter. I'm going to lightly flip up. I'm going to take my glitter. Can you see this? I sure hope so. Where am I at? Yeah. And I'm going to lightly sprinkle on that upside down section. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect, so don't stress too hard about this. And then shake off. I also want to do black on the bottom, even though it's probably going to get painted anyway. Or I mean, with the final run of glitter, I should say. So I don't really need to do that, but I do out of habit. And then what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to go add another little zhuzh of spray adhesive to this little spot right here where I have it upside down, and I'm going to add a little bit more glitter just to be on the safe side. Okay. All right. Now, next color, that is going to be the swamp. And again, we're just going to go as much full coverage as we can, keeping in mind that this layer, not that it doesn't matter, but it's not anything that's going to be judged. Let's put it that way. Same thing, go under the handle. I have sweat rolling down into my eye. Let's do green. All the good Halloween colors. Okay, shake off the extra. Now, we are in the whole top bottom of the handle scenario here. So again, you're just going to go take your time. Shake off extra. Now, this is probably the hardest one to do. Flip up. I hope you can see this. Sprinkle your green. Grab it again lightly on that edge, flip back down, and then go under. Okay. And make sure you're getting glitter everywhere. careful. Ah, it's so pretty. Okay, this looks a little janky because it's one layer of glitter, but that's okay. That's what we want. We're going to go ahead, we're going to hit this with spray sealer. We're going to run epoxy on it. We're going to take off our tape, and we're going to move forward. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect because all this is where your leopard spots show through. Okay, so if something like your ombre is maybe not so perfect in one area and it's great in the other, that doesn't really matter because all you're going to see are leopard spots. So this is just simply laying color down. Like I said, let's go hit it with spray sealer, get it on the spinner. One thing to keep in mind, okay, here are my very well-used, well-loved, well-abused spinners, right? Clean, pristine, kept in perfect condition. I want you to take notice of underneath the spinner. See the little speed bump right there? That is pretty much under every spinner. Again, these have been well-used, well-loved. You know, 14,000 tumblers have rolled through these. So everything has a speed bump, okay? I am going to assume that you are not as messy as me and that you have a much better workstation than I do. If you don't, though, things to consider. Speed bumps kill handles on cups like this. So make sure that you have enough real estate to run your cup as you need it. Even if you don't have speed bumps like this that a handle could potentially run into, you know, it's one of those things that I had a handle. I know that my handles can run on this spinner fine, opposed to, you know, like that big whammer jammer there. But I had a 30 curve spinning next to it. That handle was hitting the top of my 30 curve. So just be mindful when doing big cups like this, that you have enough real estate so that it will spin appropriately and clean so that your handle doesn't run into anything. So just a little 411. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it on epoxy. Now, the thing I want to also point out, oh, where's my camera? Calm down. Right here is where the tape starts. I always try to flip this up a little bit. Knowing that I am the person that always forgets to take the tape off. Or doesn't do this, forgets to do this, and then I'm trying to like dig up a tape end with an epoxied glove. So just do yourself a favor, try to add that. Let's get this on. Oops, sorry, I jiggle-jaggled you. There we go. Alrighty. Mix up approximately 30 to 40 mLs of your favorite epoxy and using a gloved hand, evenly add it to your tumbler, making sure not to go too aggressive that you're smearing your glitter all over the place. Okay, so you can handle this handle situation in a variety of ways. You can do what I'm doing and, you know, just adding the epoxy little bit by little bit as it spins around. You're going for obviously full coverage all the way around the handle. Or before you add any epoxy, you can pull your spinner off, pull your cup off the spinner and add the epoxy then. And then slide your cup on the spinner and epoxy the rest of the cup. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way, to be honest. It's what you're comfortable doing. I've done both, and the other way is faster. Like you're not having to go through 800, you know, revolutions of the cup here, but we're not in a rush. It doesn't really bother me, but like I said, whichever way works best for you. Try them both, see what makes you happy. Make sure you're getting under, make sure you're getting in those little screw holes. I am putting a somewhat generous coat on simply because I know I'm not trying to add a second coat before I add leopard spots. This one coat is going to cover pretty well. For the most part, it'll cover everything. Again, we use fine glitter for this purpose. And getting around the little roundabouts on the handle is usually the hardest part. So just put a pretty generous coat on. Like I said, we're trying to minimize the amount of coats that are going on this cup. So one decent size is going to alleviate the need for two runs. So that's what we're looking for. All right, blow out your bubbles. Now, go around that handle real well with your torch. You've got one run of epoxy on here, so we can't really go nuts on it, remember? Okay. All right, let's blow out our bubbles. Keep in mind, you only have one run of epoxy on this, so you're not trying to like go ham with your torch too much, but you really want to get around the top and bottom of the handle, okay? Because that's where all your bubbles are going to collect. Also, let's take off our tape. As the person who is notorious for not remember to take off tape. Come off. We will talk more in the tips and tricks section about how to fix that if you're like me and also often forget to take off tape. There's a couple little tricks to make your life a little easier if that happens to you. So let's go ahead, let this run. We're going to be back when this is dry, and we're going to move on to the next step. Now, next, go ahead and grab your favorite leopard print pattern into your design space and cut your print out on 631 removable vinyl. I found that for a cup this size, for the condensed amount of spots I was adding, that I needed 2 sheets of leopard print cut. So if you're doing maybe not so much of a condensed leopard pattern, maybe you're just doing a small swirl or something, just kind of decide exactly how much pattern you need. I then went ahead and grabbed my transfer tape after I weeded out the, negative space of the pattern, and then just kind of started adding it randomly around the cup. Some people like to follow the pattern exactly. Some people kind of like to freestyle a little bit depending on, how they're doing it. I have a tendency to do that a little bit. So just kind of, you're basically just filling in the spots as much as you want or as little as you want. So we are going to spray paint. We are going to spray paint in offset colors. What does that mean? That means this right here is black and green. That means when we spray paint, we're going to put black spray paint over the green glitter. We're going to put neon green spray paint over the orange glitter, orange over the black, rinse and repeat all the way around. So the spray paint is going to be over the color next to it. Spray paint your cup exactly like you did the first time. You're just moving the colors over by 1. So just make sure you are mindful of that and keep your colors in line with the opposite color. And that's pretty much all you're doing at this point. All right, so we are spray painted. It's not perfect. That doesn't need to be. We're going to go ahead and add our glitter next, and then we're going to take off our leopard spots and set it for epoxy. Now it's time to remove your leopard spots. Grab your favorite craft knife or tool that you use to remove 631 vinyl and go to town and just start removing those leopard spots. Be very careful, be very mindful. You are not trying to add a bunch of scratches leading up to the spots to where, you can blatantly see that you are using a craft knife to remove the spots. It is very difficult to find them though, I will say that. So if you have a little trick like putting a dot of glue on the spots and letting it dry so that you can easily find them, definitely embrace that. Because finding those spots can be a little bit difficult under all that glitter. Once you are done removing all of your leopard spots, just do a quick little shot of spray sealer on it to make sure everything is locked in. And when that's dry, go ahead and move it to your spinner. I mixed up approximately 30 to 40 mLs of epoxy and added it in a very even layer, including the handle, and then obviously blowing out the micro bubbles. Once that cured, I added a second run of epoxy following the same steps, and she was done. Don't forget to remove your tape while your epoxy is still wet, and go for it. Hey guys, what is up? Shut the front door. All right, focus, focus. There we are. Love me some Halloween. I think we all know that. What's up, guys? I have been gone. I have been MIA for the last couple months, and I have missed you guys so much. And to be perfectly honest, I was not supposed to be doing a new video for another couple weeks. And then I was like, I had a customer order this cup, and I was like, well, this is a perfect thing to get going on. So here we are. Ignore this. I don't know what my hair is doing. Whatever. Don't care. Anyway, I wanted just to come in and say hi and do a video for you guys because, like I said, I missed you guys so much. Last video I put out basically just let everybody know that I was going to be basically taking a 9 to 5, in my case 8 to 4:30 job. I was not going to be working from home anymore. I didn't know what was going to be happening with the tumblers or the this or the channel or the that or whatever. Not to, like, you know, get into a big, huge, you know, 40-minute dissertation on that. But basically everything's great. I love my new job. My husband, he went out. He found a job that he loves. The dogs, not so happy. But, you know, they still like to get all the treats and the new beddies and all the toys. So they're going to have to learn how to be a little more accommodating. Yeah, so, you know, the economy just absolutely tanked us this year. So, you know what? You got to go do what you got to do. And, you know, I had a couple friends who were like, oh, we're so sorry. You know what? I can't even feel bad about it. Like, let's be honest. I've busted my ass on these tumblers for the last 4 years. I'm tired. I thought I'd be really sad, like, but I'm not. And closed up the actual stores this past weekend. Next couple of weeks, I'll be working on, you know, fulfilling the last chunk of orders that came in. I think there's like, I don't know, about 35 or 40 of cups to do. But yeah, like, honestly, I'm tired. I'm burnt. I don't want to do it anymore. The love is gone. So, you know, I'm happy. It's amazing how happy and stress-free a regular paycheck will make you. So happy for the change, excited to see what happens next. And, you know, my husband's like, what about the YouTube channel? You guys, I will not leave you. You guys are my happy place. You really honestly are. So even though I'm not doing cups anymore, we're definitely still going to continue on with this channel. So here we are together. Let's talk about this cup. Let's talk about this cup. How delicious. How delicious is this cup? I know I say it every video. I adore this cup. This is me. This is me in a 40 ounce right here. We've got leopard, we've got neon, we've got Halloween. This is really crazy easy. And hopefully you could see in the video that this looks like it's stupid complicated, but it's really, really not. There are a couple of things that I did run into with doing this that I kind of knew I was going to run into, but I didn't know exactly how much of a thing it would be. So let's talk about that real quick. Number one, don't forget to tape your rim, okay? Tape your rim more times than you think you need to. The thing is, on this cup and on any cup, really, you're running the risk of, no matter how well you seal it, if you use spray sealer, if you're using Mod Podge, although Mod Podge is going to give you probably a better, you know, lockdown. You know, if you don't have that tape rim or that rim taped, especially on your first pass, and then when you do a second pass on here, your second pass of glitter, you're going to epoxy that glitter right up on that rim. Like, you just can't help it. It's glitter. It goes where it wants. It lives its own life. It's going to go exactly where you don't want it to go. So make sure you tape that rim. Now, the offset of that is present company included. What happens if you're that person that tapes that rim and forgets to take the tape off? What to do? Ask me. Trust me. Let me share with you, because if I had a quarter for every time I put tape on a cup and forgot to take it off, we would all be going to Bora Bora right about now. So if you do that, if you add your tape, you add your epoxy, you completely forget about it. Now you come out, your epoxy is cured right on top of your tape. What do? You can do a couple of things. Number one, take your torch and just lightly, now remember, we're not trying to set it on fire. Lightly, all right, torch all the way around. You may be able to grab the edge of your tape, and with that epoxy being softened by the heat, slowly and carefully unwind it and take it off. If that does not work, again, with the torch, okay, go around, get a very sharp craft knife, and while that epoxy is softened, start running your craft knife like right in that little seam right there. Okay, is it going to be perfect? Maybe, maybe not. It depends. Depends on how crafty you are with that little craft knife, how well you execute your straight line across. Keep in mind, if you also are like me and you're like, I'm doing so great, it's absolutely straight, and you come down, all right, or even just a little bit, let your epoxy then, once you get all your tape off, let your epoxy come back to normal temperature. Don't try doing this when it's still soft. Let that epoxy harden up again and cool down. Take your sanding block. You can kind of buff that out a little bit and then run your next run of epoxy. Just be sure that if you do sand, that you know, either you blow off any kind of sanding dust that may be behind so that it doesn't, you know, get locked in there as well. This is all pretty easy. This went pretty easy. Keep in mind with your colors, you know, just kind of pick colors that you love if you're not using this exact, you know, color combo. When it comes to doing the epoxy on the 40s and the handles, you can do one of two things. You can actually, before you add this to your spinner, you know, you've got your epoxy already mixed up in that. You can epoxy this handle all the way around perfectly and then add this, you know, to your spinner to add the epoxy to the rest of the cup. Or you can do what I did and, you know, I'm not in any kind of rush. Add this obviously to the spinner and then, you know, just kind of go ahead and epoxy it, you know, as it goes around. There's no wrong answer. Some people prefer it to do one way or the other. It is easier to do it, you know, with the handle off the spinner. I just always kind of seem to not do it that way. Don't ask me why. The paint, you know, obviously you want to go ahead and make sure that you have tape on your cup each of the times that you're going to spray paint so that you're not getting overspray on that rim. And then also the one thing, I knew that it was going to be a thing. Like I knew it. We've done this long enough. We can identify when there's going to be, we have a situation. All right. Usually whenever I do peekaboos like this of like the entire cup in leopard, normally I do them either where they have a paint base or a paint, you know, top base to where it's not glitter on top of glitter. Because if you do a paint base, you can obviously easily see where those spots are and you can yank them up. Glitter on top of glitter. The one I also have done a neon rainbow version of this along with a tutorial, and I'll link it down below. Again, you can see the leopard spots before, you know, pretty well. Even with neon glitter, sometimes you're still having to kind of moving that around and finding the spots, but you can see it much better opposed to dark glitter. When you start going with dark purples, you know, medium to dark oranges, blacks, it's real easy to get lost because you got to think, if you're not doing like a paint, you know, a paint peekaboo, like where you've got glitter and you've got your leopard spots and now you're going to add, you know, paint and that's all you're doing. You know, you can see those spots pretty easily, but when you're adding glitter on top of everything, you've got now spray adhesive, you've got glitter, you've got spray sealer. So all of those products are basically leveling up to where your spots are. It makes it very, very hard to... Bailey, every effing video, Bailey. So all of those products, they're basically leveling up to where your spots are. Okay, so where if it was just paint, those spots are they rise up a little bit higher than the paint on the cup. You can see them real easily. But when you have an even playing field, it makes things really, really hard. Okay, now when... I think I mentioned somewhere in the video, VMD, okay, VMD Designs. Vanessa is amazing. I love her. And what she will do on hers is when she has, you know, she's laying down her peekaboo pattern, she has, usually, I think she still does this. I know she did at one point, a hot glue gun, and she'll put like a little dab of glue on all of her little decals so that she knows when she gets to that point, because she does glitter on glitter, you know, she can just go ahead and she knows right where they are and she can pull them off. Now, I know me and glue guns, all right? I know I'm going to have glue strings going all over the place. So I did not want to do that. I've met me. I know my handiwork. That being said, goodness gracious, wouldn't have that been so much easier? If not the glue, if not the hot glue gun, something you could do is if, you know, if you've got a good old-fashioned bottle of Elmer's glue, if you have rubber cement, that might even work too. So you wouldn't have to wait for the glue to dry. But I would definitely save yourself the headache and the hour it took to find all these spots. Definitely take a little bit of glue or a little bit of something and pop on all of your decals before you add the your second pass of glitter. Do you need to do it? No. Should you do it? Yes. Good Lord. Yes. Because this was a pain in the booty. I knew it was going to be. I fully was prepared for it. But you know what? On a Sunday morning after staying up all night watching football, you don't really want to do it. You just don't want to do it. So make your life a little bit easy. And like I said, if you have like a little bit of glue, something that literally will just be able to stand up a little bit off of that pattern so that you can real easily find it. Definitely consider doing that. You know, one thing I also think I probably mentioned is when it comes to doing your epoxy layers, go thin. You are going to do, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, depending on how difficult your handle wants to be that day. You're running somewhere in the wheelhouse of probably 4 runs of epoxy. You know, you're not working with chunky glitter, so I think probably 4, maybe 5. You know, you're doing thin layers. You're not trying to drown your cup with epoxy and win an award for getting this done in 3 layers of epoxy. Okay, take the time. Make sure you're blowing out your bubbles. Make them thin layers because you don't want this thing to be 8,000 pounds, and it very quickly will become that. So just kind of be mindful of that. When you get down to where you are a coat or, you know, you're getting close to the end, be sure to start sanding. Now, again, you're using fine glitter. You're really not going to have to do a lot of sanding on this, but take your time with it, even on this handle part. And, you know, and you're going to be fine. Just take your time. Don't try to rush this. Don't try to make it go faster than it wants to go. Let your epoxy fully cure in between each coat. And yeah, just kind of have fun with it. That's pretty much it. This is a banger of a cup. I will tell you what, if this wasn't for a customer and it's one of my longtime customers that I absolutely adore, I would absolutely try to steal this from her because this is me all day long. The only other thing I will say is this, you know, keep in mind too, when picking your glitters for a cup like this, keep them harmonious. You know, the purple is metallic, the silver is metallic, the black is black. The green is metallic, but it's a little more iridescent than metallic. It matches fine. I'm not mad about it, but I would say, because she wanted neon green, so, you know, it's kind of hard to find a metallic neon green, and it's kind of hard to go with, you know, pumpkin orange and Halloween purple that's iridescent. So you kind of have to cross-contaminate on that. Like I said, I don't hate it. I think it looks beautiful, but keep that in mind. Just kind of, you know, make sure you're getting the look that you want. If you don't mind, you know, mixing different, you know, wouldn't be textures, styles, cuts, however you want to say it, then obviously go for it. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm kind of like, the green's not as metallic, but you know what? I still think it came out absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not complaining. Again, that pretty much wraps up everything. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am so glad to be back. I can't even tell you how glad I am to be back. So definitely get ready to see me again on a weekly basis. If you're new to the channel, like I said before, please consider liking and subscribing. And down below are all the coupon codes for everything I use here. So, you know, if you're looking for a particular color that I used or anything, it's going to be down below. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I'm going to see you guys next week. It's great to be back. See ya.